Prince Andrew is getting the royal treatment tonight, only it didn't come from a butler or a valet. It came from someone blue collar, and it didn't involve that fancy service that he's used to. It involved legal service, the kind where a process server says you got served right before they toss a lawsuit at you. As of today, the prince, at last, has officially been served with a lawsuit by a woman who's a now grown woman, but says the prince raped her when she was just 17. The UK high authorities have finally ruled that it was jolly good. It was just fine when a process server left the paperwork with the palace security guards at the gate. After all, how the heck was he supposed to get past that? Now it's on to what comes next in the case. Virginia Giuffre alleges that she was forced to have sex with the Duke of York because she was ordered to do so by Jeffrey Epstein, an old pal of Prince Andrew's. Epstein's now dead, but his right-hand woman, Ghislaine Maxwell, is alive and well and sitting in a New York jail cell facing criminal charges that aren't too far off from what Virginia Giuffre is alleging happened to her. Joining us now is the attorney for Virginia Giuffre, who you may remember from his outstanding work in Bush v. Gore, the Supreme Court battle for the presidency back in 2000. Welcome, David Boies. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you. Good to be here.
So I am guessing this was excellent news. You're behind all the fussiness of how to serve a royal, right? So now he's been served. What comes next?
Right. Well, what comes next is now he has to go to court, and he has to really face his accuser and defend himself against the charges. This is something that we have been working at for a long time. It's been a hurdle to get here. He's had a lot of palaces to hide behind and in. But he has been finally served, and now he has to come forward and face the music.
So that, to me, says he will actually walk into a court. But at the time of COVID, I sort of think, well, people do this, virtually, so you could do that from England. But will it actually mean that His Royal Highness has to walk into a Manhattan courtroom?
Eventually, he will. Initially, he won't have to come to court. Initially, he'll send his lawyers to court. And we'll argue a number of legal issues. And there will be what is described as discovery, where each side produces documents to the other. Each side has an opportunity to examine under oath the other. He'll have a chance to examine Virginia Giuffre. We'll have an opportunity to examine him. Each of us will have an opportunity to examine potential witnesses. And then we will get to court, the actual jury trial, when he'll have to face a jury and explain his conduct.
So there's the, $64,000 question, jury trial, because most people assume that eventually things just settle. But this is the prince, and there is that lady named the Queen who would think nothing. Right. I mean, there would not be a chance that there'd be a settlement and an admission that this kind of thing happens. So do you fully expect, David Boies, you're going to end up in front of a judge with this?
I believe this case is going to go to trial. The charges are very serious. Virginia believes that this is a case in which she's seeking not only vindication for herself, but she's seeking to send a message that this kind of conduct is simply unacceptable, that rich and powerful people taking advantage of vulnerable young girls is something that just cannot go on. And she has dedicated herself for the last several years to trying to bring this to people's attention and to try to bring the people who have engaged in this conduct to account, not just for their sake or for her sake, but for the sake of all of the potential young girls out there that this could happen to unless something is done.
Well, moods are very different, certainly across this country, when it comes to sexual assault reporting. The Me Too movement has made juries maybe perhaps a little bit more sympathetic now to these kinds of claims. It's not just, it has to be she said, she said, she said, she said, and the list goes on to maybe, get someone to think we should report it. But for his part, the prince, his legal team has put out a statement during this whole serving process saying, we believe that this is a baseless, non-viable, and potentially unlawful lawsuit. And I know that often makes opposing counsel laugh, but the truth is there any shot that he has to pull off any of those three things, baseless or non-viable or unlawful, or is that all dispensed with now that he's been served?
I think that's all rhetoric. If they really thought this was a baseless, non-viable lawsuit, they wouldn't have been hiding so long. They wouldn't have been trying to evade service for so long. They would have come into court and demonstrated that it was baseless. I think that was rhetoric. I think that's part of a PR strategy. I don't think that's a viable litigation strategy. The fact of the matter is, we have pictures, we have testimony, we have witnesses. And in a court of law, that's what counts. Evidence is what counts, not PR spin, not characterizations, not sort of bland denials. What counts is evidence. And I think the evidence is what he's going to have to confront.
So, okay, then there's this little complication. Some people call it a wrinkle. Other people call it much ado about nothing. And that is this document that his lawyers wanted to get their hands on, presumably from the Ghislaine Maxwell matter. And you'll have to, disabuse me of that if that's not true. But it's a document that purports to say in the settlement where Ghislaine Maxwell and Virginia Giuffre settled their case that anybody in the inner circle of Jeffrey Epstein is kind of inoculated from being implicated in anything else. So then you've got the prince who likes to say, I barely knew the guy. But that would put him outside the inner circle and expose him to you. And then you've got the queen who's probably saying, don't you dare say that you're in his inner circle. Is this the conundrum that you're kind of hoping for, David Boies?
Well, first of all, the document they're talking about, the so-called release, does not apply to Prince Andrew in any respect. The release is limited. I can't go into the details because it's confidential, but the release on its face is limited and would exclude it. Second, as you point out, for him to take advantage of that release, he's got to say, I was one of the co-conspirators. I was part of the sex trafficking. I just can't believe that he is going to be prepared to do that. I would be surprised if that was something that the Queen would tolerate. Certainly, if he comes forward and admits that he was part of the inner circle, that he was part of the sex trafficking in order to take advantage of this this so-called release, that to a large extent accomplishes our goal of holding him to account, of getting him to admit his conduct. So I think he is on the horns of a dilemma. I think this is much more lawyer and PR spin than it is the kind of thing that he will actually use in the courtroom.
On the horns of dilemma, I sense that could be a Netflix special, or maybe the headline or the front cover of the book you may write after this. David Boies, it's always good to see you. I look forward to having a chance to talk with you further on this case and others. I hope you'll come back.
Absolutely. It's good to talk to you.